For the past 6 years, the Alabama House of Representatives has been under the leadership of Representative Mac McCutcheon of Huntsville. But he didn't seek re-election to his seat for House District 25, and this year has been succeeded in his job as Speaker by Representative Nathaniel Ledbetter of Rainsville. It's an honor to have Speaker Ledbetter in the studio with us today. Thanks so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, absolutely, it's good to be here. Thanks for the invitation, and certainly, first of all, I want to commend Speaker McCutcheon. He did an outstanding job. Great man. He just moral fiber, and appreciate him and his leadership. But I grew up in rural Alabama, in northeast Alabama, in DeKalb County, a little town called Rainsville, and lived there all of our life. Grew up there, raised my family there. So we've been fortunate to be in that area and called it home for a long, long time.
We have a lot of rural stories on our show, as you know from seeing it. Do you think your rural background is an advantage or a disadvantage in the legislature?
I think it's an advantage. I mean, I think it gives us an opportunity. A lot of times, you know, the metropolitan areas are, because of the population base, seem to get what they need for the most part from the state. And not always, I understand that. But it seems like maybe the rural areas don't get as much. So I think it gives us an opportunity to look at it from a rural standpoint and look at it, gives us an aspect, I think, from being from a rural setting that we can see both sides.
Obviously, the rural people, are, for you in particular, are as much a part of your job as the urban people. Right. But are there issues that will be coming up this year that you think will be a specific interest to the rural people? Yeah,
I think so. I think we'll see a lot of different issues. It's not interest only to the rural people, but across the state. You know, we've got a fentanyl crisis in our country, but also in our state. So that's one thing we're going to address immediately, is trying to, we're going to say if you bring fentanyl in Alabama, you're going to be punished and to the strongest extent. And so I think that's important. Adoption process, we're going to bring a new adoption legislation out that maybe streamlines adoption. We've got over 5,000 kids in Alabama that needs homes, and I think that'll help do that. We've got to get we've also got to work on the Jobs Act for the Growing Alabama, and so we'll work on that probably pretty early in the session. And the Jobs Act's been good to us and created over 65,000 jobs and invested over $45 billion into their state. So we look forward to getting that out there.
In addition to those issues, what do you think will be coming up in this next session that will particularly draw the interest of everybody in Alabama?
Well, I think, we got to continue to work on education. I think that's something that is going to be on the forefront. We're going to see a lot of conversation about that, rightfully so. And we want to see Alabama continue to move up, and I think we've started that process. The Literacy Act's been very positive. I think the Numeracy Act's going to be strong for our education system. So that's something I think we can all in Alabama look at and hopefully continue to grow.
We see a lot going on in Washington as far as Congress, and I think a lot of people think that that has sort of given politics a black eye. Is the Alabama Legislature a lot different than what we see coming out of Washington?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you asked that question, because it is. I mean, we work across party lines. I was Majority Leader before becoming Speaker, and had a chance to work with a Minority Leader. He and our friends. I mean, we work on a regular basis, and I think most of the time we can come to common ground. And unfortunately, in Washington, it seems like we can't do that anymore. I think that's why you've seen the mental health issue that we've addressed over the past 3 years, is because it's nonpartisan. If it's good for one party, it's good for everybody. And I think in Alabama, it's been that way with the mental health issue. And we've actually have made a lot of changes and progress in that, but I think it's because we've worked together.
Mr. Speaker, we sure do appreciate you being with us today. Stacy Little is up next on Simply Southern. He's crossing cultures with an Asian dish made from uniquely Southern ingredients.
Hi, my name is Jessie Kroll, and I'm an Extension Water Program Coordinator with the Auburn University Water Resources Center. Today we're going to be talking about clean drinking water from private wells and steps you can take to maintain your system either on your farm or within your home. Do you ever wonder where your drinking water comes from? Well, in the United States, about 15 million households use a private well as their drinking water source. Life on a private well is pretty different than being on city water, where the water is being tested for over 90 contaminants regulated by the United States Environmental Protection Agency. Private well owners are responsible for the testing, maintenance, and treatment of their home water systems. Just because your well water may taste, look, and smell the same doesn't mean that invisible contaminants are not present. We recommend getting your well water screened for bacteria at least once a year. These tests are low cost and can be done by your state environmental or health agency. This test will screen for the presence of total coliform bacteria, which are present on the surface of plants and soil and can enter a well from surface water runoff, or for E. coli, which indicate harmful fecal bacteria in the well water supply. In addition to testing, it's also important to visually inspect your well at least once a month. Remove any vegetation or debris that may have accumulated around the wellhead. Ensure that water is not pooling around the system. Also, check the casing and make sure no cracks are present. In addition, always check to make sure that your sealed sanitary well cap is still in place. If you have any questions or would like to learn more about water resources in Alabama, contact the Auburn University Water Resources Center.
What we eat, what we wear. It all starts somewhere. And if it's good, it usually starts with a farmer. And that somewhere is right here in Alabama. In a field, in a barn, on a tractor. Right now, there's a farmer starting something good for all of us. And it all starts right here in Alabama.
There's no such thing as downtime when you own a farm. This is your land. You tend it and try to get the most from it, no matter the weather or time of day. It's been that way for generations. And for generations, your local quality co-op store has been there for you, with a full range of agriculture supplies and services, from feed to fertilizer, seed to grain storage, and the right hardware for any application. You'll always find what you need, plus friendly, knowledgeable advice at your local quality co-op store. There's one near you.
For more Simply Southern, follow us on social media. And while you're online, visit our website, simplysouthern.tv.net. Simply Southern continues in a moment.
Sweet Grown Alabama, we just saw it as such an amazing platform to be able to market for farmers and small Alabama businesses.
Being a niche producer, a commercial mushroom laboratory, it's very important that we kind of get the word out about who we are. And Sweet Grown has been monumental in helping us do that.
I think just support your local community, your neighbor. That's the backbone.
Discover what's growing in your neck of the woods at sweetgrownalabama.org.